Hello and welcome to Antinatalism this week. We have some events happening about antinatalism and we also have some bad news from America and also a good news from India. So let's get on. Events this week. I want to talk about three events, one of which happened yesterday. It was an event on a Discord server of Conundrum. I will link Conundrum's YouTube channel to see who he is. The event was about Shauna Schifrin's wrongful life, procreative responsibility, and significance harm. They were discussing this paper. It's a long paper actually, and that paper actually is the basis of the consent argument for antinatalism. So very good discussion. I was there for part of the event, but then I had to leave early because it was late in the night over here. But that event happened yesterday. There are two upcoming events. One is on extinctionism. It is today on 12th of November at 9 p.m. IST, which I think is 10:30 a.m. Eastern time and would be like 3:30 p.m. GMT or British UK time. And it is by Steve Aditya on Google Meet. I'll put the link in the description. There is an event in Barcelona, Spain, by the looks of it, and it is happening on 17th of November, 6 p.m. local time. This, whatever information is showing, it looks like they're going to talk something about Julia Cabrera. If somebody has a translation of what exactly it is, let me know and we can cover that in the next weekly update. The Austin Chronicle, which seems to be a local newspaper in Austin, Texas, has tweeted this article. The title of the article is "The Eugenics Circus Comes to Town." They are talking about the Natal conference that is happening on 1st and 2nd of December. The article presents a good fact-checking research on speakers of the conference who range from those seeking a return to conservative 1950s gender roles to right-wing figures whose ethos is no enemies to the right, a philosophy that conservatives should collaborate on common issues with even the most extreme right-wingers, including Nazis. Also in the mix are academics and science enthusiasts whose talking point harken back to early 1900s eugenics. Eugenics loosely or broadly is a belief that certain traits in humans should be preferred, so only those humans should be allowed to reproduce and prohibit other humans from reproducing. This ideology was well adopted as a policy in Nazi regime. Now, eugenics has many shades to it, but broadly speaking, it's a dangerous idea and has been rejected worldwide. The bottom line of this conference is that the population is going to collapse soon, and therefore we should have more babies. Who should have more babies is the criteria which involves eugenics. Before we go into much details of this, we should also look at the future projections of world population. This graph from an op-ed of New York Times by Dean Spears shows the world population will rise to 10 billion and then will come down. So the threats of population reduction or even collapse are not unrealistic. But Spears warns that we need to talk about it sooner than later because if we wait, the less inclusive, less compassionate, less calm elements within our society and many societies worldwide may someday call depopulation a crisis and exploit it to suit their agendas of inequality, nationalism, exclusion, or control. And that is exactly what is happening with this Natal conference. The conference is organized by someone called Kevin Dolan. Kevin Dolan, on a podcast called Jolly Heretic, hosted by Edward Dutton, had said this.
uh, build cultures that make that easier. And that's sort of where I'm aiming. So I think that the pro-natalist and the eugenic positions are very much, they're not in opposition. They're very much aligned.
Okay, yeah. So it's
Kevin uses Twitter handle extra.jcv, where he has also posted on a video suggesting black people should move back to Africa and wrote, "This is probably the closest thing to a practicable solution to the race problem in America." Charles Haywood is another speaker who has described as an end goal the total permanent defeat of the left. Charles Haywood promotes an ideology called foundationalism, which he says is based on 12 pillars. One of them is sex role realism, where he says a return to traditional sex roles is both desirable and necessary. Women will not be permitted to choose career over family without significant penalties. Men will not be permitted to choose not to have a family. Charles has written for Claremont Institute, which is a Trumpian think tank. One of the Claremont senior fellows, John Eastman, is currently under indictment for helping Trump try to steal the 2020 election. Another one who is associated with that Claremont Institute is Raw Egg Nationalist, and he is also one of the speakers on this conference. He was also on Tucker Carlson's documentary, The End of Men, where he explained what the idea is. Raw egg nationalism is based on the idea that the main enemy is soy globalism, which wants you to be fat and depressed. Instead, men should have raw eggs, which will solve what he calls the crisis of masculinity. He also promotes ball tanning, which is tanning testicles to promote testosterone production. This has been debunked. Here's what NCBI says on the topic. Our results show that the promotion of testicle tanning generated significant public interest in an evidence lacking and potentially dangerous health trend. Dermatologists and other healthcare professionals should be aware of these new viral health trends to best counsel patients and combat health misinformation. This gives you an idea of the kind of speakers that conference has got. There was a long article in Italian language with the title Antinatalism, History and Meaning of a Radical Philosophy. It was a long article, but it covered a lot of subjects in antinatalism and explained quite many arguments in a very nice way. My only problem was that I translated that into English and some of the parts got lost into translation, so I couldn't understand properly. But overall, very nice article. It is a very comprehensive article. It talks about history of antinatalism, antinatalism in religion, antinatalism in various different philosophical ways, antinatalism within Gnostic sects within Christianity, and also it touches on Buddhism, Hinduism, and so on. It also refers to many different authors. It covers almost all books by Benetter on the subject. It refers to Shauna Shifrin, it refers to Kari Makerma, it refers to, I think, Masahiro Morioka on history of antinatalism, and also tells how the distinction between proto-antinatalism, which was limited to the view that it was not good that we were born, but which has now transferred to the proper antinatalism, which therefore says that we should not have children and so on. So very good comprehensive article, and there are very two good things about it. One, it is in Italian language, so the more languages we have, the better. And two, if you don't want to read long, thick, deep books on this, if you don't have time or you're not into it, just read this one long article and you'd get to know a lot of things about antinatalism. Ryan Sosna, now I've referred to his articles in the past as well. On the website thecollector.com, Ryan Sosna has written another third article on antinatalism, and this time he addresses some of the criticisms of antinatalism. It's a very nice article again. So now, this being three articles by Ryan Sosna, I am interested in whether he is actually antinatalist or not. We'll see. There's an article called Debating Pro and Anti-Natalism by someone called Richard Gibson. It was a well-balanced article. It also referred very good arguments for antinatalism and also recognized that a lot of pronatalism has right-wing and eugenistic ideologies in it. But he recognized the problem that this fear of population collapse can only be avoided by having an ever-increasing population, which is not possible. And that is where these tensions between anti and pronatalism comes in. So overall, I thought it was a balanced article. It was a good read. And now a sort of good news from India. There is a state called West Bengal in India. It used to be a state called Bengal, which got divided into East Bengal, which became a separate country called Bangladesh. And West Bengal remained in India. So in that state called West Bengal, we have Sumit, who is our antinatalist advocate, antinatalist activist, who is doing excellent work over there. They have a group called Bengali Antinatalist, and this week on the Cancer Awareness Day, they use the argument, the risk argument for antinatalism to do an outreach to tell people to not have children. This is a snapshot from that outreach. Now, I am tempted to use that clip here to show what they did, but that would just be stealing his views. I'm going to put the link to his video in the description. I urge everybody to go and watch that excellent piece of work. And those were the stories about antinatalism this week. Let me know if I've missed any. Thank you.